ESO Daily. I am your host, Mysticraven. I don't know why I PvP and PS4 pack. I have no idea. But very, very, very important lesson for the players out there that actually want to be of contributing factor is how to counter a Zerg. That means if you're a group player running teams, how do you counter a Zerg? It's a good question, right? And this all goes back down to, like, I remember playing World of Warcraft, and we played Ultrek Valley. I don't know how many players remember those days, right? And you would get bottleneck, right, at your flag points, and it really sucked, right? Until, guess what ends up happening? Part of your unit, right, you hold a force, right, you blockade them, right? Think of the movie 300, right? The hot gates, right? He took his 300 troops, Leonidas, and he held thousands off. Why? Just to hold them, right? So it's what you kind of do with your main forces. You hold while a small team goes and backdoors, right? Because as soon as Xerxes or whatever come back, they were screwed, right? Found the goat path, killed them off, flanked them. But it comes back down to this: how do you counter a Zerg? It's a numbers game, right, guys? So when you see a backdoor happen or a Zerg's pushing, DC's pushing, they got 40, 30, 40 people pushing in one direction. Your troops are divided, right? How do you stop the push? Well, you can't, really. What you need to do is when they're getting ready to set up the siege or beginning to siege, you take the small unit and you backdoor their keep where they don't have, guess what? People guarding the keep. That's what you do. So what ends up happening, it cuts off reinforcements, right? It just cuts them off. It's just that simple, man. It's not rocket science. It's just simple. But Ebonheart Pack gets backdoored more than any faction because they have yet to figure out how to counter the Zerg. Now, here's another thing. When they backdoor your keep, that allows their Zerg to push forward. It gives them momentum, right? So that's what backdoor tactics do. So if we're now stuck at BRK, why? Because everybody else is cut off. We're cut off, right? We're pinned. And that's the disadvantage that you have when something like that occurs. So the only hope you have is hope that your other faction pushes the other faction, causing pressure. But you need to relieve the pressure, right? And the only way you do that is by actually causing a backdoor tactic yourself. You have to take a smaller unit. You have to go ahead. DC's been doing really good at it. AD does really good at it. And Ebonheart Pack is on PS4 is the worst possible at defending the Zerg, defending the back door, or even backdooring majority of the time. The group leaders in the server on EP, I hate to say it, they suck. They suck at tactics. So I'm just going to tell you guys straight up. The easiest way, right, to go ahead and cause the Zerg to take a step back is when they push past that keep. Once they keep pushing, right, they're taking all their forces and pushing in one direction. It's a turtling effect, right? So what do you want to do? You want to sneak behind and then capitalize on their weakness. Their weakness being that they're not defending. The Zerg cannot defend if it's on the push, right? So if you played World of Warcraft, you guys would remember, they get to the certain point, all of a sudden everybody's running to the backdoor keep, taking the flag, killing the boss to get the fast win. That's what they were in there to do. It works. It's a smart tactic. It's been implemented in MMOs forever. When people turtle, that's when they're Zerging, they're pushing. All you have to do is just keep back capping their points. right? Because they're not leaving guards. Just that simple. So, yeah, I really hope this helps people how to counter Zerg. Also, here's another thing to keep in mind. Let's say they backdoor BRK, right? You have Sedge. Until their Zerg pushes this point to the outpost, like Sedge or Bleaks, they're cut off, right? They're doing it so the Zerg can push forward. So you want to go ahead and actually anticipate that the Zerg's going to push the next outpost. So it would be in your best interest to do what? Skip one further in the back end if you're a small team. I'm talking like 8 to 10 people. You know the Zerg's coming. So they backdoor Chowman, right? So what's that going to do? You're thinking, well, okay, well, we can just go to Bleaks. Don't do that because that's where the Zerg's going to push. So what you want to do, the Zerg's going to push from like Oswell. So what you want to do, let the Zerg push it, right? Soon as they push it, you flag it. As soon as it's flagged, they're going to be like, we're flagged. All of a sudden, the Zerg breaks. Some are going to go back to defend, if they're smart, and some are going to still try to push. What that does is now it gives your main forces the advantage on the numbers to push back. So you may or may not be able to cap it, but what you're doing is alleviating your troops. But a lot of people just push AP. They don't know any better. And it becomes a giant frigging nightmare where you get pinned. If you got pinned, it's because you got backdoored. If you got backdoored, it's because you failed to stop the Zerg, right? And you can't stop that many forces when you're dealing in a free faction war. You have to play tactical. It comes down to tactics. It's just that simple. The team that outthinks with strategy is going to prevail. I can guarantee you, especially when you were looking at a full cap server on weekends and there's no real advantage because everybody's waiting for Q. So, heads up, guys. Maybe it'll help, maybe it won't. I don't know. But, yeah. So, there you guys have it. Mysticraven, ESO Daily. Yeah. Thank you and have a nice day.